Good morning, everyone. I got my coffee. It is a gloomy, overcast, foggy day today, but we're gonna make it into a whole vibe. I want to spend my morning with you. We're gonna hang out, do some baking, do some plant care, and talk about something very exciting, which is my first upcoming race. This is a perfect video to put on in the background while you're doing your own cooking, chores, or just relaxing. I would be honored to keep you company. I want to give you some reading updates, and if you haven't seen my last vlog, I will have it linked in the description below. I was reading Hotel Lucky 7 by Kotaro Isaka, which I did finish, and I did like it. The writing was very well done and the story was engaging. However, it just wasn't my cup of tea. So for that reason, I gave it a 3 out of 5 stars, but still an enjoyable, light-hearted read. The next book that I want to read is going to be Intermezzo by Sally Rooney. This is a very, very popular book, and it has been sitting on my bookshelf for literal months. I hate having unread books on my bookshelf, and I hate buying new books if I have unfinished books at home. And I did read a couple of pages of this book already, but I think it just wasn't in the right mindset for this book. So I'm gonna give it another shot. And I wanna get to at least page 100 before saying, oh, this is not for me. But I think it should be for me because it's chess, it's about two brothers, it's about a complicated relationships. I don't know, it sounds like it would be up my alley. So yeah, I'm excited to dive back into this book, and hopefully second time is a charm. I'm gonna read, enjoy my breakfast and my coffee. I have been in a bit of a baking mood as of lately, and I'm craving something sweet. I have some blueberries, I have some lemons, so let's make a blueberry lemon loaf cake. I love making these loaf cakes because they're quick, easy, delicious, and can go literally with any meal. Breakfast, lunch, dinner, doesn't matter, it's gonna be delicious. I have all of my ingredients prepped and ready to go, so let's get started. We're gonna begin with the dry ingredients, so I'm gonna be mixing 190 grams of flour with a teaspoon of salt and a teaspoon of baking powder. Now we're gonna mix in the wet ingredients, and I just have some melted butter. Then I have 160 grams, a combination of white granulated sugar and some brown sugar, just to give it a little bit of depth. Also, I don't have any vanilla extract. I just put 10 grams of vanilla sugar instead of 10 grams of the regular granulated white sugar. It's not the same, but it's gonna be fine. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and mix this together. Gonna add 2 eggies, lemon juice of 2 lemons, and the zest of 2 lemons. I like it particularly zesty, but if you don't like such a strong lemony flavor, you can obviously just use the zest of 1 lemon. Next up, I'm gonna add 60 milliliters of milk. And I'm also gonna add 60 milliliters of Greek yogurt. This will just add a little bit of a tangy flavor and make it a little bit more light and fluffy. And now that our wet ingredients are all nicely put together, we can add the dry ones. I'm gonna use my spatula to mix in the flour, and I'm just gonna be gently folding it, not necessarily mixing it, because I don't wanna develop any gluten. And now I'm just gonna go ahead and fold in around 150 grams of blueberries, and I did coat them in some flowers so they wouldn't sink in the batter. And again, just gonna try to do this as gently as possible so I don't actually squish the blueberries and make it all purple. Our batter is done, so I'm gonna go ahead and transfer it into a parchment paper lined loaf pan. This already smells so freaking good. Okay, now I'm just gonna use some more blueberries coated in flour, and I'm just gonna put them on top as little decorations. There we go. Doesn't that look stunning? So in the oven she goes. My oven is preheated at 175 degrees Celsius. So in she goes, and she needs to bake for roughly 50 to 60 minutes. I'm excited. Ooh, cake. I think I completely rotted this plant. This is my Epipremnum Pinatum albo, the trailing version. I do also have a little Epipremnum Pinatum marble in here, and I have severely neglected this plant. This plant lives up there on my little beam that goes across my studio, and that space literally gets zero light. I only have like a couple of trailing filler plants up there. This one was doing fine. However, I let it get severely dry, and this does live in a semi-hydro. So I let this thing get too dry, and then I watered it, and now it's looking like this, like a limp freaking mess. So I want to get in here, I want to investigate, see what's going on. There are a couple of vines that feel good, but there are some that just look horrible. And if I lift the reservoir, you can see all of those nasty dark roots. That is really nasty. We need to rescue this plant ASAP. Even if you do everything right, root rot is just normal. A majority of my plants have at least a little bit of root rot, because just like leaves, roots do age and degrade and die off. I always say that as long as like 80% of your root system is healthy roots, you should be fine. But yeah, obviously this plant is not looking healthy. I think we should just take it out of the pot, see what's going on, remove the rot, see if there are any viable roots at all, and then just pot it back up. I think that sounds like a good plan. Oh, and I just noticed there's like literally a vine that completely fell off. You can see the whole stem is just rotten. So there goes that one. I'm just gonna go ahead and firstly cut off these like nasty roots at the bottom. And they are those like really just mushy, ugly roots. Oh, this is so disgusting. Let's just see what's happening in here. I predict it's not good. Oh yeah, I can see a lot of black roots. Ooh. Oh no. But I also do see some healthy roots. So maybe not all is lost. I don't know if you can see, but there is a lot of rot in the pond. And as I mentioned, this plant does live in very low light, maybe even no light. This really isn't surprising to me. Oh my God, this is so sad. Look at that, holy, look, I don't even know if you'll be able to tell, but there are literally no roots on here. Oh my God, okay, and this vine does feel very floppy and sad. I could rehab this, but I don't think I want to. This is not a plant that is like bringing me a whole lot of joy. See, I thought this root would be like nice and salvageable, but as you can see, the tip is rotten, and I could, in theory, just remove that rotten tip. I might just toss this whole plant if I'm being honest. Like there are a couple of roots on here that are fine, but the majority of it is just rotten black mush. I think it's time to say goodbye to this plant. I'm not interested in rehabbing this plant. Plus we are in winter right now, which just makes rehabbing plants so much harder. And I do have my climbing Epipremnum albo that I love a lot more than this version, so I think it's time to say goodbye to this version. It does suck, but honestly, sometimes just saying goodbye to a plant is the best move, in my opinion. Well, just goes to show you that this plant hobby isn't always all peaches and creams. And you know what? Usually I don't really show this process. I don't really show me like getting rid of a plant. And I think it's important that I start doing that because it showcases that A, it's okay to let go of plants, and B, I want to paint an authentic picture of what it's like being a plant parent and not like have this picture perfect collection. So yeah, sometimes shit like this happens and we just have to let go and move on. I'm gonna go ahead and throw this in the trash. And honestly, I think I'm also just gonna go ahead and throw away this pond. Like you can see just how many dead roots there are embedded within the pond. And like removing all of this would probably take forever. So I'm just gonna toss the whole thing. Let's switch gears to a plant that is actually doing really well, and that is my Alocasia dragon scales. She is massive. This thing is absolutely huge. There are, I would say, like maybe 7 or 8 plants in here, and all of them just have a shit ton of leaves. And this plant is gorgeous. It's one of my favorites. However, I have recently discovered, you can't even see me, I have recently discovered some black thrips on this plant, and they are seriously hard to spot on this plant because obviously this plant is dark in itself. However, I'm not worried. Like obviously there is like literally no damage on this plant. This plant looks always gorgeous, so I'm really not worried about a little bit of thrips. I have been dealing with the black thrips now for a couple of months. This is my first season dealing with the black adult thrips, and when I first discovered them, I was terrified because I thought, this is it, my collection's gonna burn down in flames. But to my surprise, they aren't that much of a nuisance, honestly, and they don't do that much damage. I feel like the small white larvae thrips do a lot more damage than the black ones. And I haven't been seeing any of the babies, I just see like adults. I really don't notice a lot of damage, and whenever I just see them, I see like 1 or 2 and I squash it, and that's basically it. So although I have been kind of terrified of those black thrips my whole plant journey, now that I have them in my collection, they really aren't that bad. I feel like spider mites do a lot more damage than thrips, and spider mite damage is a lot more visible. I feel like they can do the damage a lot quicker. They sort of attack the whole surface of the leaf, and when you have thrips, they usually just like attack a small portion of the leaf, and there's like maybe some damage on that small like edge of the leaf or whatever, but for the majority, the rest of the plant looks great. So I am just not worried at all when it comes to thrips in particular anymore. They are annoying, obviously. As I mentioned, this is a pretty dark plant, so it's really hard to spot them. So I just want to give this like a preventative little wipe down with some horticultural soap and water. And I actually really like wiping down my leaves. Not only does it feel so meditative and calming, but I feel like I can actually remove the pests properly, especially with spider mites. When I shower my plants, I feel like I can't remove all of the like eggs and spider mites, but when I actually mechanically rub the leaf, I think I actually squish all of the bugs and like actually manage to get in all of the nooks and crannies. Maybe I'm wrong, but I don't know. I enjoy it. I enjoy doing it. I don't do it too often because, I mean, it's very time consuming, especially when you have such big plants. But it is nice and chill to just take a couple of minutes, look at your plants, appreciate them, and give them a little bit of a spa treatment. And especially now in winter when plant care is a lot easier, when there's a lot less to do, I do like to give my plants a little bit of extra TLC. How are you guys doing? How are you coping with the fall/winter season? We're almost close to winter now, which feels honestly crazy. So let me know in the comments how you've been dealing with it, how your plants have been doing. I would love to know. My plants on the whole have been fairly well. They haven't tanked yet. They have definitely slowed down a little bit in their growth, which honestly I don't mind because sometimes a lot of growth can be very stressful and overwhelming. The tempo at which they're growing right now is good for me. Now, we did have a pretty mild November and October. There were still a lot of sunny days. It wasn't too cold, but now we are entering into that like cold, dark stretch. And I do live in a small town that is surrounded by 3 rivers, and it's also in a valley. So we are basically just constantly surrounded by fog. And usually during the winter, months go by without me seeing even a sliver of sun. And obviously that does affect my plants negatively and me as well. But a lot of my plants do live under grow lights and they seem to be doing fine. I've had this video shelf with the Burtoniae lights set up for quite a while now, so I think I can confidently say that the Burtoniae lights are doing pretty amazing for my plants. There are a couple that could use some more light. The Burtoniae lights definitely aren't as powerful as like obviously natural sunlight, but for the majority of my plants, they seem to be more than sufficient. So I'm really happy with this setup as of right now. I am thinking of maybe making like another planty area just because a lot of the plants on this shelf, on my video shelf, are slowly but surely outgrowing this space. The dragon scales is the perfect example because she is getting absolutely massive. I am a little bit scared of where I'm gonna put all of these huge plants. Either way, I am grateful that I am able to grow so many plants even throughout winter with honestly minimal struggle. Anyway, Alocasia dragon scales, I have her all nicely cleaned up. Hopefully no more thrips, but it's hard to get rid of thrips because they're just so small and they fly. I'm not stressing about it. It's just a tiny little bug after all. But doesn't she look gorgeous? I absolutely love this plant. My God, she is stunning. I really want the variegated version of this plant, but they are still so expensive, so expensive. Anyway, I'm gonna put her back. Oh my God, she's so heavy. Whew. I actually want to show you something really gorgeous. My Maranta, my variegated Maranta, spat out this stunning leaf. Like, look at it. Holy guacamole. This plant, on the whole, it doesn't look like anything special, and then it will just randomly throw out the most beautiful leaf I have ever seen in my goddamn life. I absolutely love this plant, and if you've been on my channel, I actually had to chop this thing up completely because it was riddled with thrips, and I have restarted it in semi-hydro and it is doing so well. It's almost back to being as bushy as it was before I had to chop her. I swear to God, semi-hydro is just mwah, absolute chef's kiss. Now, I am a little bit scared of how my semi-hydro plants will do during the winter time because I grow a majority of my plants here in the studio and this is a open attic space. So it does get really cold here during the night, and obviously semi-hydro plants like constantly sit in water. And I did have a couple of semi-hydro plants last winter and they did fine, but I have a lot more now. And I think my strategy moving forward this winter with semi-hydro plants will be to keep the reservoir like quite shallow. Not fill it up all the way, just so it doesn't sit like in too much cold water, and hopefully that will help. But again, if you have any tips or tricks when it comes to overwintering semi-hydro plants, I would be more than grateful to hear them. Also, My God, this plant. This is the Hoya Multiflora Wonderfill, and oh my God, this thing is growing like a weed. Are you kidding me? I received this as a 1 or 2 leaf cutting. It is already rooted like crazy. It is constantly growing, just pushing leaf after leaf after leaf. It is already outgrowing the space that it's in. I love this plant, but my God, it is ridiculously fast growing. Holy crap. And I know I showed it recently, and I feel like it's already doubled in size from like the last time that I showed it to you guys. That plant is absolutely nuts. Hoya Burtoniae is blooming once again. Oh my God, look at that. She's so cute. I absolutely love this Hoya, and she's constantly blooming. If you're looking for a reliable, consistent bloomer that is also just generally a super easy care plant, I highly recommend the Hoya Burtoniae. She is really cool, and her leaves also have like a really fun texture. It's kind of like suede. It's really, really interesting. She has like a couple more peduncles on the way. I think I saw, yeah, there is one down here as well. So yeah, she's doing amazing. Love her. This is the beam that I was mentioning earlier when I was talking about my Epipremnum Pinatum albo. And as you can see, it's virtually no light. I just have a couple of pophuses there, a Rhaphidophora tetrasperma, a, what's this called again? A Scindapsus trubii nearly black. And I have this thing, which is probably my most neglected plant. This is the Rhaphidophora Decursiva. I am not kidding when I say I haven't watered this thing in months. I mean, you can tell it is a droopy, sad mess, but somehow this thing just refuses to die. Even though it's receiving no light, no water, no feed, it's just alive. I mean, it's not thriving, it's not growing at all. This thing is a slow grower as is, but I do have to give it props for being this resilient, because my God, I'm absolutely neglecting this thing. Anyway, that being said, I actually do want to take this thing down and give it at least a shower, because it is so dusty and in need of watering. Oh my God. Okay, so let's do that. I gave the Decursiva a little shower. There literally wasn't a drop of moisture in the substrate. Whoops, I need to take better care of this plant. I'm so sorry. I did mention this in the intro, but I have my first race tomorrow, which I am so excited about. It's gonna be a 10K. I feel super confident. I know I will be able to smash it without a single problem. If you told me half a year ago that I would be running a 10K race, I would tell you that you're absolutely crazy. Just like plant care, running has been one of those hobbies that has completely changed my life for the better. I feel physically better, mentally better. I feel so accomplished when I do like a successful run. I started my running journey late spring, early summer, and unfortunately I pushed it a little bit too hard, too fast, and I got a knee injury that took a couple of months to recover. That was such a dark period for me, because I discovered this thing that brings me so much joy and makes me feel so good, but I wasn't able to do it anymore. And I was feeling really depressed over that whole knee pain situation, because I went from being able to run like 5 kilometers without a single issue to not being able to run even one. I didn't let that defeat me. I started strength training. I started doing proper warm-ups, proper cool downs, and honestly, my knee recovered pretty fast. And now I can run again without pretty much any issues. Sometimes it likes to act up a little bit, but nothing serious and nothing that actually hinders me from running. And also another thing that is really cool about running is the fact that it's an activity that I get to do with my brother. Me and him signed up for the race together. He has been the sporty type all his life. He played football or soccer, and he's an avid runner for years now. Me and him are completely different people. Like I said, he was always the like smart, sporty, outgoing guy, and I was always like the introverted, artsy, video game guys. The fact that finally now we have this one hobby that we can do together feels Really amazing. And I always made fun of him for the whole running thing, and I was like, damn, you're just crazy. And look who's talking now. And my only goals when it comes to finishing this race is to finish it and to just not stop running. Those are my only two goals. I don't care about like any time or anything. There's gonna be opportunities in future to hunt for personal bests and stuff. But right now, I just want to enjoy running for what it does to my body, how it makes me feel, and not necessarily the numbers. Because I know that the moment that I get obsessed with the numbers, I will start hating it. So I am being very careful to not focus on the wrong things. I'm just really excited about this race, and I want to share that with you. The cake is done, and some of the blueberries are still a little bit floury. I think I did put maybe a little bit too much flour on them, but that's fine. I don't think that will affect the cake too much. Is it like restaurant quality 10 out of 10? No. Is it homemade with love? Yes. The cake is cooled and it is time to try it. I am so excited. Cheers. Oh yeah. It's so nice and like tangy, and I know for a fact that it will be even better tomorrow, because these types of cakes are always better once they're like chilled and all of the ingredients actually like come together. But it's so good. I'm gonna end the video here. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on this gloomy morning. I had a lot of fun and I hope you did too. Let me know in the comments what you're up to, how you're doing, and I will be sure to update you in the next vlog about how my race went. So definitely stick around for that. Thank you again for watching. I hope you have an amazing day, and I will see you in the next one. Goodbye!